Call upon Mr. Umar Shankar, Mr. D. Anand, and Mr. T. Vasudevan on stage, please. We now begin today's program with an invocation. I request you all to please stand for Tamil Thai Varthu.
நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராரும் மதனமென நிகழ்வகத கண்டனிதில் திக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
The Revenue Bar Association takes great pleasure in welcoming the distinguished speakers for the day, Honorable Minister for Information Technology and Digital Services, Mr. PALANIVEL THIAGA, and Mr. Umar Shankar, Chief Technology Officer of OneCloud Hub. This particular meeting of Revenue Bar Association aims to tap into the impact of technology on legal and accounting profession and governance. We are sure this will be a very enlightening and enriching session for you all. I now invite Mr. T. Vasudevan, Secretary of Revenue Bar Association, to give the welcome address.
On this very special occasion of study circle meeting of the Revenue Bar Association. On every special occasion, it's good to reminisce on the past and look forward to the future. Here's a short burst on the evolution of Revenue Bar Association and its activities and achievements. The RBA was founded on 20th February 1963 by a team of dedicated tax professionals, Sri S. Swaminathan, Sri K. Srinivasan, Sri S. Padmanabhan, Sri T. B. Vishwanathan, and a few others. One of the leading founder members, Padma Vibhushan Sri K. Parasaran, Senior Advocate, is our mentor, and his recent speech during 60th year celebrations of RBA is a testimony to his involvement in the association. With a legacy of 6 decades, RBA is one of the oldest functioning associations of tax advocates. The association was created with the object of encouraging study of tax laws relating to revenue, economics, and planning. In the early years of 1990s, under the able guidance of senior advocates Sri K.R. Ramamani and Sri V. Ramachandran, RBA found resurgence in its activities, and the conduct of annual tax seminar came to stay in its calendar, which attracts the attention of professionals from all over the country. Likewise, the RBA is an early bird in the conduct of budget meet every year, and the members and general public are greatly benefited by this. RBA has been active in making representations and offering suggestions regarding revenue legislation and administration. The Income Tax Department has recognized the work of RBA and has inducted 3 of its members in the Suggestions Committee. The Golden Jubilee celebrations of the association was held for a whole year from February 2012 to February 2013. That year saw a series of lectures each month by eminent speakers dedicated in memory of one of the past giants of the tax bar that was sponsored by their juniors or family members. The year-long celebrations concluded on 24/2/13 with a valedictory function. Another feather in the cap of RBA was added in 2017 when the Bar Council of Tamil Nadu granted the status of an affiliate association to Revenue Bar Association. Thus, over the last few decades, the RBA has grown in stature and gained wide acceptability among the advocates, other professionals and corporates as a body engaged in enriching and spreading the knowledge of tax laws in the country. Each one of the past president and its committee members had contributed enormously to the functioning and growth of RBA, and we are deeply thankful for the dedication in nurturing the growth of the association. In a unique way, RBA is the only professional body which has been organizing study circle meetings uninterruptedly for nearly 3 decades on every third Saturday of the month. The study circle meetings focus on updation of knowledge on every field of law, with guest speakers giving their perspective on the chosen topic. Through the study circle meetings, the junior members of the bar are encouraged to participate in the activities by giving them the role of explaining recent case laws of courts and tribunals. The study circle meetings are widely attended by its members and chartered accountants on invitation. Today's study circle meeting is a very special one, carrying the topics technology and governance and impact of AI on professionals, which are of utmost relevance in the current day scenario. And we are privileged to listen to 2 speakers who have wide knowledge on the subject, and their words carry conviction and wisdom in the field. Over the next 2 hours, we would be in rapt attention listening to the speech of Honorable Minister of Information Technology and Digital Services, Dr. Shri PALANIVEL THIAGA, and Mr. Umar Shankar, Chief Technology Officer, OneCloud Hub. With a deep sense of gratitude, RBA is thankful to all the delegates assembled here in response to the invitation extended. The exemplary response from the delegates only shows that there is always an expectation amongst the professionals that study programs or seminars with RBA will be relevant and useful in their career. The committee members of RBA in unison extend our warm greetings to all the delegates and would also take this opportunity to request all of you to participate in all the future programs. Once again, on behalf of RBA, I welcome each one of the delegates to this evening program. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. D. Anand, Vice President of Revenue Bar Association, to give an introduction to the theme of the event today.
Good evening to all, and welcome to the 9th Study Circle meeting of the Revenue Bar Association for the year 2023-2024. Thank you for being here to explore the fascinating intersection of technology in the realm of governance and professionals. We live in an era of unprecedented technological advancement, and one of the most transformative forces in recent years has been the rise of artificial intelligence. Today we are here to delve into the impact of AI on governance and professions that have long been pillars of a society. In the grand orchestration of societal progress, governance and professional arena have always been the conductors guiding the rhythm of collective advancement. Today, a new instrument is taking center stage, tuning its algorithms to the complex melodies of power and expertise, namely artificial intelligence. For lawyers, AI has become a powerful ally, helping sift through mountains of data to find relevant precedents, identify patterns, and provide legal insights. Today, we have a legal library that can instantly retrieve relevant case laws, analyze statutes, and provide nuanced insights, all at the speed of thought. Legal research is no longer a daunting task, where complex contracts can be reviewed and analyzed in a fraction of time it used to take. This is the reality that AI is bringing to the legal profession. Predictive analytics, another facet of AI, is making waves in legal decision making. By analyzing historical case outcomes, legal professionals can leverage AI to predict the likely outcome of a case, helping them make more informed strategic decisions. This is particularly valuable for litigators, enabling them to assess the strengths and weaknesses of a case based on data-driven insights. The impact of AI on chartered accountants is no less profound. In the world of numbers and financial intricacies, AI is proving to be a game changer. In the ever-evolving realm of finance and accountancy, a silent revolution is underway, powered by capabilities of artificial intelligence. Automating routine tasks such as data entry and analysis, AI allows accountants to redirect their focus towards strategic financial planning, risk management, and client advisory services. AI's prowess in data analysis has unlocked a new dimension in financial forecasting and analysis. Machine learning algorithms can sift through massive data sets, identifying patterns, trends, and anomalies that might escape the human eye. This capability enables the accountant to provide clients with more accurate financial forecast, assess potential risks, and devise proactive strategies for financial growth. In the tapestry of governance, AI is not merely a tool, it's a transformating force reshaping the very foundation of how nations are led and managed. The implications are profound, from redefining public service to reimagining policy framework in the era of machine intelligence. Imagine a world where algorithms dance ropes and numbers pulse through circuits, challenging the very essence of what it means to practice law and account for financial intricacies of business. Imagine a world where algorithms draft legislations, virtual minds aid decision makers, and the very fabric of governance is rewoven by lines of codes. Welcome to the crossroads of power and innovation, where bytes wield influence as much as ballots. Today's speakers will unravel the notes of innovation that resonate through the hollowed halls of decision-making and expertise. We have two distinguished speakers to navigate us on this interesting and innovative topic. Our first distinguished speaker is Mr. Umar Shankar, Chief Technology Officer, iCloud Hub, an expertise in the field of AI. Brings a wealth of knowledge and experience that transcends the conventional boundaries of technology, will explore the impact of AI and its ramification on professionals. The speaker will delve into the nuanced impact of AI on various professional domains, exploring how this cutting-edge technology is reshaping roles, skills, and very fabric of a professional ecosystem. We are honored to have our second speaker, Honorable Dr. PALANIVEL THIAGA, Ministry of Information and Technology, Government of Tamil Nadu, for the topic AI and governance, a visionary leader at the forefront of policy making in the realm of artificial intelligence. His perspective on the intricacies dance between artificial intelligence and governance is poised to shed light on the critical role policymakers play in steering a society through the uncharted waters of technology advancement. The implications of AI and governance are profound, spanning ethical consideration, regulatory frameworks, and the very nature of democracy society. As we gather here today, let us engage in the intellectual journey guided by the wisdom of our distinguished speakers. May their insight illuminate the path forward as we navigate the complexities of artificial intelligence, impact on professionals, and its profound implication for governance. Once again, welcome to our esteemed speaker, and thank you all for joining us on this enlightening journey into the heart of artificial intelligence, influence on a profession and governance space. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Mr. Arjun Raj to introduce the first speaker for the day, Mr. Umar Shankar.
A very good evening to everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker today, Mr. Umar Shankar, who is a seasoned professional with a career spanning of over 2 decades in the realm of technology, application development, making substantial contribution to the field of artificial intelligence. A product of Vellore Institute of Technology, Mr. Umar Shankar embarked on his professional journey in the year 2002 at Philips in Singapore, working for their ready-to-deploy workflow application. In UK and US, he collaborated with multiple clients, including Honda UK, providing range of business applications, as well as led banking modernization projects. Continuing his journey, Mr. Umar Shankar currently serves as the CTO and head of cloud and data services at OneCloud Hub, a prominent enterprise technology provider. It is noteworthy to mention that Mr. Umar Shankar is not only an accomplished professional, but also an AWS ambassador, recognized by Amazon Web Services as a thought leader. Furthermore, he sits on the academic council in various colleges. Today, Mr. Umar Shankar will enlighten us on the cutting-edge developments in artificial intelligence, drawing from his rich experience and current work around Gen AI solutions in the areas relating to legal and accounting profession. I am looking forward to hear from him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arjun. I now call upon Mr. Srinivasan, CEO of TJ Financial Consultancy, to hand over a small token of appreciation to the first speaker. Thank you, sir. I now call upon Mr. Umar Shankar to give his speech. Thank you.
Good evening, all of you. Distinguished guests who have now moved to the front row, and delegates. I hope this evening, the next 30 to 40 minutes are going to be worthwhile, where I'll be able to share whatever we have come across as an impact that the AI is creating in the world of professionals, right? So first of all, I'd like to thank RBA, especially Srinivasan and our sir, Sridharan sir, for providing this opportunity in being among you all and sharing the knowledge with you all. So thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Okay, so today I'll be covering first about OneCloud Hub, a small introduction about OneCloud Hub. Then I'll move into the topic for the day. So OneCloud Hub, I'm one of the founding members of OneCloud Hub. This is our 6th year. We operate in 4 geographic regions. First, obviously in India. We also operate in ASEAN, Middle East, as well as in Americas. So we are a system integrator with distinguished partnership with AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and GCP and OCI, which is basically Google and Oracle. So these are the 4 top leading cloud providers in the world. And we are partnered with all the 4 of them. And these are some of the awards and recognitions. As Arjun was kind enough to mention, I'm also an AWS ambassador. This is an elite group of 250 odd people worldwide who are recognized by AWS for their thought leadership. In terms of offering, in terms of what we offer to our customers, so we help our customers to modernize their IT infrastructure, modernize their applications, and as well as modernize their data. So what do we mean by modernization? Basically to leverage cloud. So whoever is running on the traditional data centers, we help them to start leveraging cloud. The most pertinent of all is the modernization of data. Today there is a large amount of data everybody is producing, especially either through our digitization initiatives of the government or even by the private organization. There is a wealth of data that is available to every one of the organizations and to the individuals as well. Now the question is, how do we leverage this data within the realms and the governance of the enterprises and organizations that are available, right? So that is where we as OneCloud Hub partner along with the cloud providers and make this data, as Anand sir was mentioning about, how do you leverage AI and get the wealth of this advanced analytics, predictive, and be it whether predictive analytics, forecasting, or personalization, or whatever is the mechanism that we have to employ to get that meaningful insights from this data to the organization and the decision making of the organization. Now with that, I'm going to get into the topic of the day, right? Artificial intelligence, which is, first let's see what is artificial intelligence, and then understand how this artificial intelligence is touching us, each one of us in a day-to-day life, right? So let's first touch that and then see that. So artificial intelligence is basically a set of tools or technology, right, that is put together, right, for the machines to make sense of learning, comprehend, and act with human-like intelligence, right? So if machines are able to sense, learn, and act with human-like intelligence, that is what is called as artificial intelligence, right? Remember the word human-like intelligence, right? So this is not something that is going to supersede humans, but it is going to help and augment humans. That's the key word here. So how it can help and augment? Let's see through certain examples, right? I think that's the easier way. I mean, rather than going through some definitions in English, I think it is easier when we see some examples. So we call these as use cases, right? How people leverage. It's a very popular term, use case. So first one is natural language. If you look at it, how does humans make sense of the world? How do we make sense of the world? To our sensorial organs, right? We use our, our mouth to talk, our ears to listen, right? Our hands to touch and feel and create, our eyes to see, right? Similarly, if you take a parallel into the world of artificial intelligence, the first area is natural language processing. What does it mean? It means ability to convert let's say what I'm talking into text. If there is an easier way that somebody is talking and it can get converted to text, what we call it as transcription, right? Today, this is possibility. I don't know how many of you use tools like Teams or, those that are used for communication. You can just go and enable a simple option there. As you communicate with your team members, it can identify who's talking. It can identify what is being said. Obviously, today it is limited to the language of English, but I'm sure soon this will also get into the vernacular languages, the so-called vernacular languages as well. So instead of somebody taking notes, right, or creating a minutes of meeting, correct? So you can just do away with the whole thing because system, the software itself is automatically going to take notes. And by the end of it, it will create a minutes of meeting as well for you, right? So that is one popular area today where AI is being used, which comes under the natural language processing. There is also this aspect of, I'm sure few years ago, probably, even now I could see some of them are still using this system where for support, especially in the area of insurance, in the area of, hospitals, you call a particular number and it will ask you to press 1 for something, press 2 for something, press 3 for something, right? So now this system of pressing is still not very conducive for, not the entire population of India, right? Where the education levels, though we have phones and other things, yeah, it's a big irritant, right? You have to wait, and sometimes when you press 1, you press 2 times. It gets pressed twice, right? You don't even realize it, right? What if you could talk to the system, you can talk and then say what you want, right? And it is able to get you the answer and response that you want. Today it is possible. Today there are so many systems which are helping you. I had seen this working in Singapore airport in 2001. Right? When you want to know about the flight status in 2001, way back in 2001, you could call and then directly say, I need to know the flight status of a particular flight. It'll ask you to specify the flight number. All just by words. There's no pressing. And you may be traveling in the middle of something. You will be holding your luggage. You'll be having a phone in your hand and to press and to switch to that, the dial pad and everything. It's very painful, as I was mentioning, right? So now, there I saw in 2001, this was possible. Now today, this is possible for any one of these organizations to leverage this technology, and it is not expensive, right? It has become very affordable. Any one of us can afford this, right? So this is what we call as natural language processing. This is one major area where it is, text to speech, speech to text, as well as handwriting recognition. There are so many forms that we fill. In the rural area, you cannot take your iPad and then go there and then ask them to type or expect them to type in a, in a web browser or a web application form where they type mobile app. Though it is, the awareness is getting increased, but still if you want to reach everybody, it is going to be, written forms, correct? Paper forms. People are going to still filling paper forms. So how do we digitize them? That's a challenge, isn't it? Because we can't, let the whole thing to be offline, right? So again, natural language processing helps you to make sense of these scanned documents and convert them to digital entries, right? So obviously there could be some spelling mistakes. It can enhance them by cross-checking with the dictionaries and then make sense of what is being written and then convert that to almost greater than 80-90% accuracy and only have humans to only do a QC rather than typing everything. Earlier, people used to look at these scanned forms and then type. Now, they are just moved into just, doing the quality check, right? So that's one area. Now, moving to the second area, which is basically computer vision. So what do I mean by computer vision? So earlier I spoke about, us speaking and hearing, right? Now, computer vision is us seeing, right? So it's all about videos and images. Today, say, as a human, when I look at this crowd, what I'm seeing, I'm able to identify, okay, there are so many other human beings, fellow human beings there are chairs there, there's a clock there, right? And even if there is an image of a human being in the background as a banner or something, I can distinguish that between the real human and the banner behind, right? Now, today, computer systems can do. Artificial intelligence is making this possible. You can identify the number of objects and the type of objects. So here, what I mean by objects is it can identify how many humans are here, how many of them are male, how many of them are female, how many of them are happy, how many of them are sad, how many of them are feeling elated being part of this session, how many of them are bored. So it can sense, individual human nature and what they are feeling right now, right? So that is the computer vision. It can also identify in this group a specific individual. If we already have that specific individual, it can go and identify where is that specific individual. It can also keep track of what that individual is doing, right? It can figure out, let's say, one of the projects which we have helped our customer realize is in the shop floor, where in a factory where people are working, how do we ensure that the safety of the individuals are not compromised? Right from them, not together, more than two people together in a specific area, and also maintaining that required distance and using the equipment correctly, right? These are areas where we were able to help and identify the gaps with respect to that customer and highlight where they are having challenges which they need to address. So it can individually track and figure out if there are two people talking to each other for a very long time on the shop floor. It can also flag that, right? So it helps in bringing in order and governance within various factories and organizations, right? So that is an area where computer vision makes a big difference, okay? Again, from images perspective, you can also identify from, so one of the use cases which we have done, which I will cover in the next section, is on the robotics and classification. So for one of our customers, who's a large bike manufacturer, motorbike manufacturers, they have a warehouse and they have very different parts, many different parts of that motorbike coming to that warehouse. So their challenge was to identify the different parts and while identifying itself also do a quality check of it, right, before they actually put it inside the warehouse. So they have their PO, which would have been issued, and for that PO somebody is delivering the products, right? As the product comes, they want to keep the product in a particular place with all the cameras covering from various angles, and in a moment it can sense what is the product, match it to the PO, and then say whether it is of spec or not, so that they can proceed with the next product, right? So they can keep doing this, and it can make a quick count, and they can move that product to relevant shelves or storage areas in the warehouse. So here, in combination with the computer vision, there is also classification happening. It quickly identifies whether it is a petrol tank or it's a silencer. So what is the product that is being brought in, right? So that is the power of AI in industry, right? Then personalization. I'm sure like every one of us has been hit by this personalization AI, right? I'm sure we are all buying from Amazon and Flipkart and everywhere. So you would have made a search and you would have looked for, say, your men's shoes or watches or whatever it is, and probably you didn't have enough time to add to cart or buy or anything like that, right? You would have left it there. The next time when you go into that tool, it automatically identifies and shows those products to remind you, hey, here are these products available. Do you want to continue your journey of buying them, right? So, and not just that, when you watch the videos in Netflix, when you watch the videos in Hotstar, Prime, right? Based on your past, viewing patterns, it's able to identify and tell you recommend you the next set of videos. There is a 95%, I'm sure you would have seen, 95% match that this video you will like, right? How is that done? That is done through the personalization attributes of the artificial intelligence, right? So, and last but not the least is anomaly detection. This is an area of very, large interest, right? So, fraud detection in banks, right? So, earlier this fraud detection has been there for a very long time, but it used to be using the rule-based model, right? So, it will be rules that will state, okay, a transaction of greater than X value happening happening greater than N number of times within a specific duration, then it will flag it, right? It will flag it as a fraudulent transaction. Now, the challenge with this is it is very static. These rules are very static and they don't change very often, and somebody else has to add additional rules if you have to change them, right? And sometimes, at least the employees will figure out how these rules work, right? So, the advent of the artificial intelligence introduced into the fraudulent transaction tracking or fraud tracking is that the system will automatically identify patterns of any anomaly, right? Based on the earlier data set, it will identify the patterns of anomaly and learn as well as it progresses. So that is the beauty of the fraud detection system that is based on artificial intelligence. And it is very difficult for somebody to decipher what is the rule or what is the mechanism it is using, right? So, whatever I have spoken so far, these has been in use for the last, I would say, a decade or more, right? So, this has been put to use and many of us have been using this. So, but you would have seen in the last year, there is a lot of buzz around artificial intelligence. So, what has changed in the last year? Okay, there is something called generative AI. This is what is making waves. This is what has garnered attention for artificial intelligence. So we saw what is artificial intelligence, right? So what is this generative AI? Why is it different and why is it making such large waves worldwide, not just in one geography, worldwide? Let's see what is generative AI. So far, you saw that the AI we have been talking about is based on the past data, figure out, patterns and help you to make decisions, right, based on those patterns. What if there is this AI that can look at the past data, whether it is accounting data, whether it is case data, whether it is, image or whatever it is available, and it is able to help you to create new content, generate new content. So far, we have not spoken about generating new content. What if it can help you to create new content? I'll give you a quick example. Let us say like you have a student, right, who wants to learn painting, okay? You bring in the student, show him all the past various different landscape paintings, right, created by great artists or great painters from the, from the past till now. Show him the various paintings of different era. And then finally ask this guy, okay, now you go and paint, do a landscape painting, right? Obviously, he will be influenced by the various paintings he saw. But whatever he's going to create is going to be very, very unique and new. Something that has not been done before. Right? So that is an equivalent of generative AI. It is not going to reproduce some content from some book that was written or some content that was in another case or another material. It is going to create new content if you want it to create. Okay? So to make this more clear, I'm going to explain again some use cases, right, which is more pertinent. And I will also, following this, I will also show a demo, which is more relevant to the audience here. I'll try to, hopefully the demo works, because always live demos are very riskier, but I'm going to try, okay? So first one, what if an AI can write draft content for you? I know in your professional, both as lawyers and as accountants, you had to create lot of, content, communication, right? Emails or, some draft documents that you have to share with your customers or with the appellates whom you work along, right? So what if somebody can help you draft this quickly? Get the draft ready. All you are going to do, instead of drafting from the scratch, creating the whole email, if this draft can be ready within few seconds, all you need to do now is give certain instructions to the engine to say draft it this way, probably tone this down, probably add this content. If you just keep giving instruction and it keeps modifying the draft to the needs of yours. Imagine such a world. Today this is possible. Today this is possible. Today even for my own emails, I don't write my emails. Right? I use the tool, give instructions, all the emails and blogs which I create, because there is an obligation that I have to create n number of blogs within a month, right? If I had to create all the blogs, that is, from the scratch, I used to create 1 or 2 blogs a month. Now today, we are creating 2 blogs almost every 2 days. How? It's not like the machine is creating everything. We are giving instructions stating what is the thought and what is the content, and it helps us to put the draft together faster. So this is one of the most popular use cases. I'm pretty sure among the audience, right? You are creating so many emails, so many draft documents. It's not just emails, so many draft documents. And we will see a demo of some of these today as well. Second one is question and answer. Imagine, I'm sure like you have quite an amount of past cases and judgments that you have to reference, right? And look at the various content inside those different cases. What if you don't have to go through the entire case and ask pertinent questions, and it is able to answer very relevant questions from that case, right? So instead of you going through the entire document, if you can ask a question and it is able to answer specific, you don't need to have any Q&A prepared or created. You can ask a general question on natural language. Generative AI has the strength and ability to comprehend your question, identify answer within the content, and come back with an answer in a way that you can, consume it, right? So that's the power of generative AI. This is the second use case. Third one, this we will be seeing a demo, right? So you are most of these judgments. I saw some of the judgments thanks to Arjun. He was helping me because see, I'm relatively new to this field of lawyers, right? But he helped me to see, I wanted to understand what are the pain points. So he showed me that each of these judgments runs through pages, right? Sometimes tens of pages, sometimes hundreds of pages. Now, hats off to you guys. Somehow you are all able to conjure that energy and time for you to go through and then make sense and then create a gist of it and then utilize and use it for your appeals. Okay. Now, what if you don't have to spend hours and spend 5 minutes and get the gist ready for you? All you need to do is just go through that and understand what this judgment is all about. Not just one judgment. If you have multiple judgments and you want to bring together the salient points into one single document, Gen AI can do it for you, right? Similarly, classification of content. So again, one more point, even as accountants, if you have, let's say, reports or annual reports of the organization, couple of the, 3-4 years annual reports are there, you want to understand what's changing, what has changed, right? One way is to look at every one of them in detail. If there is a easier way of, collating or identifying the differences between each year's report, don't you think it will be useful for you to make your life easier, right? So that is what Gen AI can do today, okay? So with that, I'm going to first share with you some of the popular tools, because I don't want to say, okay, we have the only tool in the world. No, there are other tools. We also have a tool, right? So I'm sure many of you are aware of at least the first one, ChatGPT. How many of you are not aware? I will be extremely surprised if people are not aware of ChatGPT today. So ChatGPT is a tool that has made this Gen AI and this AI as a topic of every boardroom, every office room, and every individual is talking today. You won't believe, yesterday there was an email that we were supposed to create for our, we do run a foundation trust, and we were supposed to create an email that thanking everybody for the year of all those donors and donees who have helped us to support, right? So I asked my wife to help me create that. Then I told her, don't create by yourself. Try to use ChatGPT, right? Tell it, instruct it what you want, and then see if it can help. She has not used ChatGPT till then. I've been talking to her about all these things, but it's very difficult to get somebody like my wife to, start. Though she is also from, in fact, she is a computer science engineer, but still she feels that for certain things only human has to do. I said, try it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. Anyhow, you are there, you will go and create it. She was so thrilled how the ChatGPT was able to, create that email in a jiffy, and she was able to. There were, our founding members giving certain inputs. Can we add this? Can we add that? No, they were giving some inputs after she published this draft. She was able to turn around very fast. I don't know whether my colleagues were able to figure out that she was using ChatGPT, but once she gives the instruction, it was able to, modify the content as per the needs of the individual, right? So ChatGPT, right? Then you have got something called, Google has got a product called Bard. All these are available today for end customers. The first three are available for anybody to use. Okay, all you need to do, there is a free version, and there is also a paid version where you pay a subscription and then use it. And the fourth one, EvolveX, that's a platform that we have created, okay, for enterprises, because enterprises are not yet comfortable yet to give their enterprise data out. Okay, one of the challenges, I don't want to put it on ChatGPT, I don't want to put it on Google Bard. I want something that runs within my enterprise network. I don't want it to run on internet. I want it to run on my enterprise network with access to my enterprise data, and only my enterprise users should use it and gain insights or gain similar capabilities of creating content, summarizing content. Can it be done? That's where the EvolveX platform is all about. Okay. So now I'm going to show you, I'm going to try the demo, right? A live demo of two specific use cases. Let me try to switch. Yeah. So I'm sure it would have signed out. So I'm going to. Oh, not bad. Okay. Oh, yeah, no. See, it would have signed out. So give me a moment. I'm just going to log into the application. If not, if this doesn't work, I have to get the help of my colleague here. Okay, great. So it worked. Yeah. So here are a set of agents. So what are these agents? These agents are specifically created for certain tasks. So the way the Gen AI works is, it is a all knowledgeable, great model, right? What we call it as large language models, right? The popular acronym is LLM. We call them as large language model. So what is that? It has a knowledge of everything. As you can say, everything, meaning science, maths, politics, geography, everything it has got knowledgeable. But one thing it doesn't know is what you want, right? So you need to provide an instruction in terms of what you are looking for, right? So once you give a specific instruction of this is what you are looking for, then you go and ask for it. Every time you ask for it, it will give you that input back to you, okay? And it will do the job what you are asking it to do. So today, let us look at first policy compare, okay? So what it is going to do, I'm going to give it two documents, two monetary policy documents, one from October 2021, another from August 2022, two different policy documents issued by the government. And I mean, if I had time, I will read and then I will go through and then say what is the difference. But what I'm going to do now is upload the two policy documents, right? Okay. I'm going to upload it because it's going to take some time. So I'll talk through while it is processing it. So I've uploaded the two policy documents. It's processing the documents and then it has now processed it. Now I'm going to ask it a very specific question about compare the two documents and list out all the changes in those two documents, right? So there are various questions, templates of questions are also ready. So once I ask it to compare these two documents and then provide, what is the difference, right? Is there any specific differences and what are the various topics in which those differences are? It analyzes those two documents, converts them to what we call as vectors, right? Behind the scenes, it converts them to vectors. And then in that vector space, it creates a comparison, right? So that, see, to give you an example, there is a, just give me, okay, there is a glitch. I'm going to try again, okay? Okay, so let's try. If it not, I'll move to the next, aspect. So what it does is, see, there is a word, if you take the word bank, right? Bank, you can consider bank in, yeah, there it is. So if you, before I get to this, if you say bank, it can have two different meanings. There can be, I mean, in English itself. One is a bank where we go to do financial transaction. The other is a bank of the river, right? So how does a generative AI understand? It's not going to use the words to understand. It's going to understand the context. And then based on the context, it's going to make sense of those words and then bring out the, the outcome, right? I'm not sure whether it is readable, so I'm going to increase the font and then see. Yeah. Is it readable? I think, otherwise I'll read it for you. What it is saying is the first document is from October 2021. Obviously, the second one is from August 2022. The policy rates, the repo rate in the first document was 4%. The repo rate has been increased by 50 basis points to 5.4%. So like that, it keeps giving what are the various, so from a stance perspective, what is the difference? Assessment of global economy perspective, what is the difference? So it is giving you the difference of between those two, I mean, of various aspects between those two documents. If you want to know how it got, it is giving you specific context as well. So it tells you from each of these documents, from each of these page numbers, what are the contexts it took and how it, because you don't want to be thinking that it is automatically generating something, right? So, I'll continue? Okay, sure. So, that is the first demo which I wanted to share with you all, which is basically policy compare of the two policy statements that were made at two different points of time and how generative AI can compare those two policies and make life easier. So this can be any two documents, right? Not necessarily policy documents. This can be two statements, right? Two accounting statements, right? Or two different drafts of documents that you created. So here is a tool that can help you to compare documents leveraging natural language and generative AI. Okay? Now, the next demo that I will show today will be on legal scribe. Okay? So again, this we have created in context with the audience, right? So we wanted something that resonates with the audience as well. So what we have done here is I spoke to you about summarization of judgments. Okay? So what if I can take some judgment documents and create quick summary of them. Okay? So here we have got some judgment document. Again, thanks to Arjun. So, and I'm uploading a judgment document here. I'll show you the document as well. So this is a document from, I believe, I think it is about 58 pages. So the document is about 58 page PDF, right? Just to be sure, and it is showing a lot of, I'm sure these are some of the documents that you get to see in your day-to-day professional. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I'm sure like it makes a lot of sense to you all, right? Now, what I'm going to ask the system to do is to give a detailed summary of this document, okay? So, we have already uploaded the document. Now, that's a 58-page document. I don't have time for the reading through all the 58 pages. What if the system can go through that 58-page document and create a gist of what is readable or what is something that I can understand? Okay, here we go. So what it is saying is, the text is an order from Madras High Court in the batch of writ appeals filed by Income Tax Department against the order of High Court allowing writ petitions filed by the assessees. The issue involved, the second statement is, it is talking about what is the issue involved, whether the time limit of 60 days for the transfer pricing order under the section 92 CA of Income Tax Act is mandatory or directory. So that is the problem, and it keeps saying that the assessees argued that it is mandatory, whereas the court gave that it is, so one party is saying mandatory, the other party is saying it is only a directory. But finally, the court rejected the Income Tax Department's contention that the time limit is not mandatory, and it held that the word may has to be interpreted based on the content and the purpose of the provision. So it has concluded, it has created, it has taken the salient points from that 58-page document for somebody to make quick sense of what that whole judgment is all about. Remember, this has made it into one page. If you want a 2-page summary, it will give you a 2-page summary. You want a 10-page summary, it can give you a 10-page summary. You want a 2-line summary also, it will try to create a 2-line summary, right? The point is, it needs to make sense to you, and how much you want it to be precise, and how much you want it for the what purpose you want. Depending on that, this can make a huge difference, right? Don't you think? Because this is a something that you do day in and day out, I believe, right? Where you have to deal with lots of past judgment documents and then make sense out of what is being said. And if somebody can give you in few seconds, right, within less than a minute, a 1-page summary of what is what is being said inside the document in the same judicial terms. So the Gen AI, as I said, is a powerful, powerful, knowledgeable assistant. But one thing it doesn't know is what you exactly want. So you need to know how to instruct. And if you know how to instruct, you can get the results as you want, in terms of whatever you want, right? With that, I'm switching back to the presentation. So we saw these two use cases, right? I will also would like to touch upon a popular survey that has been done. This is a global survey, right, of tax professionals in terms of what they felt as impact of AI on their roles, right? I thought it is very pertinent to share some statistics on this as well. 77% of them felt that there is greater productivity because that way, how they use their time, right? They have become much more productive. So there is a 77% of all the respondents said that they have become more productive. More than 59%, or rather close to 59%, have said that their internal process have become more efficient, right? Because they no longer have to do everything. There is a jump start, and so it is the time taken for completing certain processes have become much more efficient. Next one, better communication with clients, because there is a standard of communication already established, right? Your emails have certain standards now. Your documents have certain standards now. So you don't have to worry about something grammatically wrong or, things being wrong, right? So the level of communication with the clients automatically gets elevated, right? So 57% of the respondents have said that they have better communication with their clients. Then, keeping up to date with the regulation and legislation. This is a major challenge. See, I used to think my job is a challenge, right, as a CTO, because there are so many things that change every day. So every day in the morning, I spend almost half an hour reading what has come newly that day, right? Especially from 4 different cloud providers. I have got to spend at least half an hour in understanding what has come newly. Every day, at least 10 things come newly, right? I'm pretty sure it is very similar for you folks, because there are new legislations, new judiciary, judgments that come out, right? There are new policies that are being released. So to make sense of them at the, as fast as we can is a very important and essential part of your life as well, right? So this helps, and I understand at least 48% of them. This is still early days, but this is what the survey says. And they were also able to provide new advisory, right, offerings, because with this power of Gen AI, they are feeling that they will be able to provide new advisory services as well. With that, last 2 slides. So though AI is very powerful, it is very important that there are certain aspects of AI is considered, right? First is, it should not have any bias. There should not be an inbuilt inherent bias within the system to favor one over the other, right? And there should be accountability and transparency. Like, you just don't take it because it's saying. You need to ask for proof. As we shown, it is important to say from where this content has been taken. You just don't believe it because it is created by the AI, right? Then it needs to be ethical and needs to be compliant with the law of the land as well, right? So that is also very, very important. And it needs to be scalable and easy to integrate, so that all the systems and existing systems you can't throw away. So it needs to be possible to integrate with the existing systems and mechanisms so that your processes gets enhanced rather than, taking a long time to make that happen. And finally, how AI impacts. I love this quote, okay? So everybody is worried, okay, AI is going to take my job, or it's going to replace me and all those stuff. That is not true. AI is not going to take your job. Yes, somebody else might, who knows how to use the AI. So all I'm trying to say here is, it's an opportunity for every one of us to start leveraging and embracing the generative AI. And if we don't, sooner than later, somebody who already knows will start doing it much better than us. So please, let's start today, okay? Thanks a lot. Once again, I thank all of you for providing this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I now call upon Honorable Minister, Mr. PALANIVEL THIAGARAJAN on stage, please. I also call upon Mr. S. Sridhar, Mr. Vasudevan and Mr. D. Anand onto the stage, please. I now call upon Mr. S. Sridhar, President of Revenue Bar Association, to welcome our distinguished speaker, Honorable Minister, Mr. PALANIVEL THIAGARAJAN.
Good evening. A warm welcome to everyone present and those watching on the live stream. I would first like to thank Umar Shankar, expert AI tool developer, for his thought-provoking address. I am now delighted to introduce to you the keynote speaker for this evening, the Honorable Minister for Information, Technology and Digital Services, Dr. PALANIVEL THIAGARAJAN. Honorable Minister is a second-time MLA from Madurai Central constituency and was previously a distinguished global investment banker, having worked at Lehman Brothers and Standard Chartered in New York, Singapore, and Mumbai. He obtained a BTech degree in chemical engineering from NIT Trichy, a MS and PhD in operations research from State University of New York, and an MBA from the MIT Sloan School of Management. We are living through a technology-driven transformation of governance in Tamil Nadu, and it is a great honor to have the driving force behind these developments in our midst today. Thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion this evening.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon Mr. K. Ravi to hand over a token of appreciation to Honorable Minister. Thank you, sir. I now invite Honorable Minister, Mr. PALANIVEL to render his speech.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to Mr. Sridhar, who has invited me now back to Revenue Bar Association, I think for the third or maybe fourth time in the last 10 plus years. And my good friend, Mr. Ravi. I'm also delighted to get this book because I was recently at the University of Chicago to give a lecture and to take my son on a college tour, and I had lunch with both Raghu and Rohit, and I think they're coming to Chennai in about a week for their official launch event here. So it's a much anticipated book. It's getting good reviews. I'm happy to get this book as a gift, very apt gift. I was fortunate enough to catch the last part of Mr. Umar Shankar's speech. And I was thinking that after listening to all the wonderful concepts and seeing the live examples that he has given, it's a bit like, a kindergarten student following a PhD candidate for what I'm going to talk about. But anyway, the topic that was given to me is about technology and governance and administration and how we can improve things. So I think I'll try and talk about maybe 7 or 8 or 9 ways that in my 2 years as finance minister and now about 7 months as IT minister, we have concretely done things in the government of Tamil Nadu. And then of course by extension, the many things that are left to do that we can still do. But first I must say that the definition of technology is different for different people. And I want to start at the very basics, starting with the notion of having computers and desktops or laptops at every staff member, integrating them through a network, having a stable and reliable and high capacity storage, especially in this day and age, having at relatively low marginal cost, almost zero marginal cost, the capacity to increase both processing speed and data storage through things like the cloud and on demand. And then of course the emerging technologies, the Internet of Things, the blockchain, the deep data, deep tech, particularly in the financial space, mobile payments, mobile money, digital currency, and then of course the high-end things like AI or machine learning. But I have to start at the basics. The government of Tamil Nadu is run, at least on paper, for the benefit of, 7.5 to 8 crore people, and has lakhs of employees who process thousands and thousands of files and papers and who provide benefits to millions of people, crores of people. It is beyond my understanding of how all these things actually still happen in a paper format. If you have any large institution that has any responsibility to even shareholders, let alone to a country or to citizens, the core asset of an institution is institutional memory or continuity. That is, it shouldn't matter who is the collector. Whatever has been done by all past collectors in this seat should be available instantaneously to whoever comes and sits in the seat. If you don't have that, the system is profoundly broken on day one. So when we came, we found that a lot of the papers were still only in paper format. Now I'll give you an example. When in the 2 years that I was finance minister, I processed about 7,000 files. I have a decent memory, but there's no way I could remember every single file I signed, which department, on what date, on what subject, was file number 65 and file number 6,200 contradicting each other. I have no idea. So at first I tried to get a kind of e-office system accelerated, and some states are a bit ahead of others. And then there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of people who are vested in keeping the system the way it is. So in the short term, I did the only thing I could. I set up a spreadsheet in my office with my staff. What day, what file, what department, what number, when did it come, how was it processed, what was it about, what was the resolution of it. And that is searchable by department, by date, by reason, by amount, by whatever. It greatly increased the efficiency and throughput of my office, and it increased the consistency with which I signed or refused to sign or redirected files. I have always prided myself as a politician that what makes me relatively unique is that there is very good correlation between the political philosophy I espouse when I'm on a campaign platform or in a public platform to the way we allocate the budget, or now I set policy in the IT department, to the way we process every file and every decision that we make. But if we don't have memory, then we cannot actually hold ourselves to that standard. So the first thing I think technology does, and technology has to do, especially in a place like government, is provide continuity and institutional memory, without which we get ad hoc decision making and in certain cases contradictory decisions at different times. The second thing that technology can do, and we have done, is now, except for the actual secretariat, we have made all the processes e-office. That means files move only electronically. So from the section officer who starts it, to the deputy secretary, to the senior secretaries, to the finance department, 3 guys in the finance department sign it, then it goes to the chief secretary's office, then it goes to the minister, then it comes to the finance minister. All of this, till the point where it gets into the secretariat building, is now done e-office, and that gives us tremendous amount of insight, because we can tell what day the file came, how long did it take to process, what was the resolution, how many such files have been looked at, what is the productivity per person, what is the average processing time. All these things which we had never known before, we are now able to tell. And once we get this kind of accountability, it basically drives performance, where you can say, why is it that it takes you 8 days to process a file when somebody else can process it in 2 days or 3 days? Till then, we had no idea. There's no way a human being can take 600 files and start checking the dates of the stamps on each one of them and extract the value of it. So such core things really is where the technology starts from. It's a bit depressing, as I came from the investment banking world, where the entire business, the biggest investment of the entire investment banking business is technology. Even real estate is not that expensive, despite it being the most lucrative, commercial, high-end, flashy real estate. We invest every year and spend every year more on technology than we do on our real estate. Here we have rudimentary processes. The next thing we can do is first integrate the various systems that we have and cross-reference the data and the tremendous benefits we get from it. I'll give you 2 or 3 examples. There was a tender already in process for the TASMAC when I came to office. And my then Finance Secretary, Mr. Krishnan, who is now in Delhi as the MeitY Secretary, he came to me and he said, "Sir, this tender doesn't look quite right because only for computerization of the point of sale terminals. In fact, we should be looking at a more comprehensive scheme." And I said, absolutely right, because I just had a presentation from one of the biggest tech companies who had done this for Telangana, where they could actually integrate all the way from the licensed distilleries, where in theory, the government of Tamil Nadu has a DRO level officer sitting in every distillery validating that 100% of the production is coming through the channels of excise and tax. In theory, that's their job. In practice, we are finding that we are not able to explain the growth or the lack of growth of certain numbers, or we cannot guarantee that the production is actually being sold because we don't have one computer system that can track from the output of the distillery all the way to the sales in the retail shops. So for 2 years, we fought against every power that be and said this tender simply will not pass. If you want to have a system, that system must be from the source distilleries, all the licensed distilleries, till every retail outlet, point of sale terminal, and 100% reconciliation must be there so that we know if it's being taxed, it's being sold, and if it's being sold, it's being taxed. This is just one example. I'll give you another example. We had a campaign promise that we were going to waive all the loans that were taken after pledging jewelry for the sake of agriculture. Right? So the loans were taken for the sake of agriculture, allegedly, after pledging some jewelry to take that money. No, there was no check done who was an agriculturalist, where was the Adangal, which land, nothing, but it was the normal kind of government approach to these things. The bulk of these loans, or the overwhelming majority of these loans, were taken at cooperative societies, which at that time, though we're pushing hard now for it, so it's slowly getting computerized, but at that time, the cooperative societies, the cooperative banks basically, were not computerized at all. So only paper records and ledgers of what is being taken and who's taking what. So one of the first things we did, and especially driven by me as finance minister, I said, till we get all these records digitized and cross-referenced, and we check who meets the criteria, because the criteria was you have to have pledged less than 5 sovereigns of gold equivalent. You should have done only one a family, and you shouldn't have done across 6 locations or 5, all your total pledging together should be less than 5 sovereigns of gold for a family. The initial estimate of how much had been pledged and therefore how much had to be waived was something north of 18,000 crores. When we started digitizing and started doing cross-referencing, we found so many instances of duplications of multiple members, of the same person pledging in many cases. Then we started understanding the scale of the issue. Then we started doing a lot of physical verification. Now that we had computerized records, we said we must go and check whether the cover actually contains what it says it contains. Finally, we arrived at a situation where the lady in charge of the project came to me and she said, "Sir, I think we have a serious problem." I said, "What is that?" She said, "If we start checking at this level, we may not find any valid loans left. They may be all gone." So we started 18,000 something crores. By the time we came to the end of the assembly session, which was about 3 months later, the budget session, CM said to me, "We have to make an announcement. What is the total amount of the waiver?" So I said, "It's going to be very low." He said, No, we can't, we must be conservative in what we tell the assembly, because we can't say X and then find that we're actually doing greater than X. So I said, my best guess, it'll end up 4,000 crores or something. But if you feel like saying what you feel like saying, you should say 5 or 6. So he said, 6,000 crores. In the end, we ended up something like 4,000 change crores. Now just think about that. 18,000 change crores down to 4,000 change crores, simply because we digitized all the information, cross-referenced it, got the family connected through other sources, put all their IDs in. And then, of course, we did a lot of, physical validation. Some of you may be auditors as well, since you're in the Revenue Bar Association. We actually said, or I said at the time as Finance Minister, I want to have an auditor present every time a redemption happens. Rather than have the process done and then have the internal audit validated, I want the auditor present in the room at the time of the redemption. And then suddenly it struck me that there's a huge nexus between the auditors and the cooperative societies. So then we changed the rule again. We said, if you're going to audit, the Salem auditor must do the redemption in Chennai, the Chennai auditor must do the redemption in Madurai, etc., etc. It includes some travel and some movement. But we remove the nexus because these people don't know each other when they go. And all of that together, we ended the number somewhere around 4,000 something crores. Now just think about that. The entire improvement in the revenue deficit of the state of Tamil Nadu in the 2021-22 year was 16,000 crores. We brought it down from 62,000 to 46,000. Unprecedented improvement, etc. All that great. All of it would have been wiped out on this one program. Had we not done this one program with this much diligence and technology, 100% of that gain would have been wiped out, or almost 100% of that gain would have been wiped out on one program. The other thing that really will improve governance, and we're focusing on a lot, multiple reasons, is widespread access to high-speed connectivity to the internet. The internet has changed everything. When I went to graduate school in 1987, I didn't even know which university was ranked what the weather was like in Los Angeles compared to Buffalo, New York. I literally didn't know. I got admission in both places and I went to Buffalo, New York, not realizing how much different the weather would be compared to Los Angeles. There was a huge shortage of information. Now, of course, you can get the equivalent of a PhD in physics for free from the internet, but only if you can get access at relatively high speeds, because the bulk of the high-end content, particularly on the educational side, is in video form. And we find very clearly that the ability to acquire that knowledge is much, much better when there's a human being talking and explaining and using, images and graphs and boards and stuff like that. So one of the things we're focused on, like other states, with the Government of India's financing, is to build high-speed internet access across the state. All cities already 100% coverage, most of you will know. And this is a dramatic improvement already by commercial players, because when I came back from the US as an expatriate in 2006 or 7, it was a luxury to get a 1 Mbps DSL line in Alwarpet. That was, heart of the city. If I went to Anna Nagar, it was not available. Now I can get 300 Mbps in Madurai in my office in a relatively suburban area. But that's only for the cities. The villages are still not connected. Though 5G is taking care of some of that, and we are rapidly approving in my department the right of way for creation of 5G towers. In fact, it won't be a substitute anytime soon for wired internet. So under the BharatNet project, which we call here Tamil Nadu FiberNet or TanfiNet, though it was delayed by 4 or 5 years under the previous regime because of tender malpractices and court stays, we got some benefit of being a late mover. We were able to price the fiber much cheaper and move forward at a lower contract rate. But we hope that by this time next year, we will have connected 368 blocks and 12,650 gram panchayats of Tamil Nadu with 100 Mbps fiber, and then connect that to every house and every house that pays the basic cost, and then every government office. That, I think, will be the building block of a lot of things that can change after that. For example, when I was finance minister, I had a very clear philosophy that I am not for funding any more government building construction, whether that's new collector offices, new Tahsildar offices, new travelers' bungalows or new circuit houses. It's an anachronism. There was a time when the colonial powers used such buildings and created magnificent edifices to show, to project the power of the East India Company or the Queen's government. But in fact, today what we need are easily accessible, not intimidating, not daunting, green energy, buildings that people can access if they have to. Much more preferable to me, and I think now the government's philosophy is that the bulk of people who need anything from the government should never have to come to a government office. The minute you start requiring people to come to government offices, you are creating all kinds of problems that will be, I don't want to get, throw sand on my own head, but most of you have an interaction with government offices, and you know the kinds of problems that develop were you to go and ask a government office for some document or some process to be completed. So the clear strategy we have is the bulk of services, especially in a place like Tamil Nadu, where there's 75% penetration of smartphones, including the rural areas, and now with our new fiber network, should be 100% in all villages. The bulk of services should be availed electronically without needing to meet a human being. And that gets many benefits. The first of which is it's like 60 rupees flat fee for everything: birth certificate, death certificate, community certificate, ration card application, license application, whatever it is, it's 60 rupees fee. And if you can't do it from your house or your phone or your laptop, then we want to expand the e-Seva Center network. We used to have about 4,000 or 5,000. We're now at about 20,000, and we're on our way to about 40,000. So that nobody should have to go more than 500 or 600 meters from their house in an urban area and a couple of kilometers in a rural area, and should be able to avail an increasing menu of services. Now about 280 or something, we're going on our way to about 300 or 400 services. And the great luxury of doing this online, we can also track when did the application happen, how long is it taking to get it processed, is there a difference between Officer A and Officer B for the Pata transfer, is there a difference between Office A and Office C, and these kinds of informations that are simply not evident were they to walk into a building. We can't go and look at the attendance registers of every office. But once it's online, we get all these other benefits. Payments and transfers. I think we have made some strides. I don't want to go too much into it because there was a bit of criticism today from my former counterpart, the Union Finance Minister in Delhi. So leaving that particular criticism aside, I would say broadly we have greatly increased the extent of payments that happen online. Even this 1,000 rupee Urime Togai only gets transferred by bank transfer. And we use the kind of systems integration and data cross-referencing I told you about in a relatively unique way, because for the first time in India, the government of India, the chairman CBDT, the revenue secretary, the finance minister were kind enough to give us income tax data in relatively real time. So on an API connect, we get to see who has filed and roughly what income they have stated and what tax they have paid, so that we know who is living at what level of society, and we ensure that the benefits are not directed to, at least we can exclude those who we shouldn't be giving some benefits to. Were it up to me, I'd like to expand that process, but it's not up to me, so we are where we are. But right now, I would say we have greatly increased the amount of the total benefits that are provided by the government that goes through direct and transfer into their bank accounts or to their mobile wallets or to their other online accounts, and we have reduced the amount of cash. Someday we should go to almost cashless. In return, a lot of the bill payments we are now bringing online, and as many of you may know, you can go pay your EB bill and your corporation property tax and your water tax and all that increasingly. And once we have these thousands of e-Seva centers, that will allow you to do it even if you can't do it from your house. Now, we must remember that as we do all these things, there is going to be some segment, some subset of society that simply cannot access these services online. Either it is a question of lack of technological savvy, maybe it's because of age, maybe it's because of inability to buy a smartphone or have a computer, or even to know how to do the basic things of going to an e-Seva center. We can alleviate that many ways, but I think the primary way is that for those people, we must first acknowledge that some subsection exists that will not be able to do it online, and then find ways in which the government can go to the people rather than the people come to the government. So again, when we were when I was in the finance ministry, this annual life certificate for pensioners, where you have to certify that you're still alive to continue your pension payments, those certificates, somebody had to come into a government office and deliver those certificates. But we signed up with the India Post Department and through the India Post Bank and postmen who go everywhere, and by definition, every address that is a listed address in this country has a postal route attached to it and a PIN code. So we signed up with them, and for I think 60 rupees a year or something like that one time, the postman will go to the house, validate the identity, and give a digital life certificate based on which the pension will continue. So, we thought that was a very, very reasonable cost. And we don't get any of the money, the post department takes the money. But for 60 or 70 rupees a year, not having to get an auto, not having to go see a doctor, not having to get a certificate, not having to go to the office, and then deal with the problems that may arise at the office, I think is a very reasonable outcome. Of course, were we to capture this kind of data and store it efficiently, then it gives us the power to do all kinds of performance tracking and all kinds of analytics that we have never done before. So if you remember the first time when we came to office, the Chief Minister fulfilled his promise to give 4,000 rupees per ration card, 2,000 in tranche 1 and 2,000 in tranche 2. Now, of course, at some point, all those will have to become DBTs, but at that time, it was in cash. But yet, when we digitized all the payment and all the alleged receipts of payments, it was amazing. We found some 4 or 5 lakh people who had never bought a product ever in their lives before at a ration shop came and collected money. Right? Now, this is a very interesting concept. So either they are not poor enough to ever need to buy subsidized goods, but they felt the need to come and take 2,000, or we don't know if they really came or not. The system may not be as foolproof as we think it is about whose identity is what. Then we found even more interesting things. We found a lot of people who had not come for the first tranche showed up for the second tranche. We saw a lot of people who came for the first tranche and didn't come for the second tranche. We saw a lot of people who came for first and second tranche but never bought any product before and never bought any product after for 1 year. So these all started giving us insights into where we should be focusing our energies and what kinds of improvements we need to make in the technology, because we are building a new civil supplies platform. So once you have this kind of information, and then of course you can use the latest both 5G and IoT technology, where we are able to connect in the department I had called Economics and Statistics, where a lot of this field data collection, especially around agriculture, around commerce, around volume of transactions and all that, we can just plug and play into other people's networks or go and leave field devices or use things like AI technology, which you can take pictures of, let's say, a given crop, and it will give you an indication of what the yield is likely to be, because they have thousands of such images to cross-reference it against. So the minute you start collecting this kind of information and you leverage that human touchless, and I think that's the key for me, is that the more it comes as straight-through processing without any human being involved, the more comfort it gives me that it is pure data, the more comfort I have that nobody had to have any kind of disruption to their normal life. And in fact, it is highly efficient because, the cost of government employees is not low, right? They're very highly paid individuals, and I wouldn't want them spending their time doing relatively mundane things that a computer can do or that a sensor can do. I think if we have this kind of mindset, then of course we're just starting to scratch the surface, because I just saw the demonstration of the AI analysis of a judgment. I must say that one of the depressing things to me, since you're all lawyers, is the sheer lack of referencing precedents when judgments are written. At least that's my experience. Maybe I'm limited in my view. I served on the GST Council, GOM, for gaming, horse racing and casinos. We met maybe half a dozen times. Every single time we met, somebody else cited some other judgment that had some other view, either as the core part of the judgment or some ober dicta in some other case about whether or not it was a game of skill, game of chance, whether there was conveyance of claim, whether there wasn't, whether lottery was the same as horse racing, whether horse racing was the same as rummy. Every case had a different outcome. Every time we met, there was a different reference cited. So much so that at my request, the then chairman, Chief Minister of Meghalaya, my good friend Conrad Sagma, he wrote to the Revenue Secretary and says, the committee feels like we should hire a lawyer because we don't understand how to collate all these precedents together and figure out what is the law. And of course, they wouldn't want any of that. So they said, no, you submit, then we'll take the lawyer's opinion. But of course, they never did. It's a different story. But leaving the politics and the inefficiency and the other kind of limitations of the whole model aside, this is a very dangerous thing, right? The whole notion of the legal system should be precedent-based. And if there is a lack of such continuity in the precedent setting, then I think technology can play a huge role in that. And we have seen all around the world, what used to be associates working 80-hour and 100-hour weeks. Now the machine can tell you, for this case, here are all the relevant precedents, here are the ones arguments for, here is one argument against. And even the more sophisticated systems, allegedly, I'm only conveying second-hand information, allegedly can tell you, were it to appear before Judge A, this is the likely outcome. Were it to appear before Judge C, this is the likely outcome, if you have enough cases in the record. So I think the great value would be as much to the legal fraternity and the judicial fraternity as it is to citizens to evaluate what are the likely chances of getting particular outcomes. But I cite this again and again, and I'll say it here because you're all at some level with the bar. I used to live in a place called Jersey City, New Jersey. At one time, it was one of the biggest cities in the United States. Now it's large in size, but it's not as economically advanced. But at one point, 90% plus of all immigrants into the United States got off the boat at Ellis Island and had to go through Jersey City. So it was a thriving city. It has a big courthouse, old, kind of granite structure. Granite limestone, I think. And in that courthouse, there's, right in the front of it, there's an inscription in the stone. And it says, precedent makes law. If you stand well, stand still. Right? To me, that is probably the best advice to judges, is that first find out what all the precedents are, and then if there is no need to get ahead of it, don't get ahead of it. I can certainly tell you that in gaming, horse racing and casinos, that's not true. There are judgments on all sides from the 60s till 2022 that go in all directions. Right? This is not good for society, it's not good for governance, it's not good for the government or for the citizens. But of course, that's only one part. If we use these kinds of technologies, particularly voice-based AI, then I think we can finally make government accessible to people in ways that we have never done before. So I say in comparison, most of the time we used to try and figure out how to help human beings deal with computers better. We give them all kinds of education, how to do programming, how to build simulation models. In my graduate student days, I used to be a teaching assistant. Or how we can design interfaces for the limitations of human beings or for not needing any specialized training. Now we finally have the level of computing power, data storage and handling capacity that we can try and make the machine understand the human rather than adapt the human to the machines and the limitations of the machines. So here I have seen in my own kind of last 3-4 months in this role, AI companies are doing fantastic work. I mean, here in Chennai. In Chennai, I've opened, I'll give you two examples. One is an Australian company that is an AI solution to radiologists. And they have done three things, I think: chest x-rays, brain CT scans, and something else. And these three, the machine's diagnosis, which is based on a database of, I think, every single scan that has ever been done in Australia that was uploaded into this database. The machine's diagnosis in many cases is more nuanced, more reliable, and more consistent than human diagnoses. In some cases, the machine is giving you predictive diagnoses. It's saying this patient doesn't have the particular condition that you asked for the X-ray to be taken for, but based on the color of this area, it seems likely that over time they will develop this problem based on the 5 million scans we have seen before. That's simply not in the realm of most human beings' capabilities, let alone, highly stressed, high workload doctors across the day when their performance will vary based on their sleep cycle and circadian rhythms and all that. The other company I spent some time with is an American company. It was actually started in Chennai, and it's called Unifor, and they do what they call enterprise AI. But the particular solution I saw, they came and set up a new 250-seat research and development facility in the IIT Madras research park. And in this particular case, the technology I saw in action was a lady doing her banking inquiry transaction resolution through voice with the bank. No keyboard, no input. She can see a screen and she's talking into a phone. And she's basically saying, when was the last transaction? I don't recognize that. Who was it for? Okay, that's fine. All of this without a human being involved. And the machine can understand her voice because they've been working on the voice recognition part in Arabic, I forgot to say, not in English. In English is a lot easier, in Arabic. So if you have enough data, or if you have the capacity to create enough data for the machine to learn from and learn the variations of, then the possibilities are endless. And for me, the holy grail of all of this technology is that the government should be able to resolve people's queries, problems, exceptions, constraints, concerns, without having too much human intervention, because then we can scale infinitely and we don't have to worry about any negative consequences of inserting humans into the process. But at some level, I'm sorry, that was very basic, but I wanted to use live examples of how we have used technology in the last 2.5 years, and the results we've got. I think we have a long journey ahead of us. I must say that relative to any corporate, I can't speak for other governments, but at least our government is still a couple of decades behind. But we are hopeful. We are in the process of trying to come up with some breakthrough approaches. The Honorable Chief Minister has just released about a month ago a digital transformation of TN policy, which will require all departments to effectively come into these kinds of models, which is relatively touchless, directly interacting with citizens, and to improve their work processes first internally and then the interface with the clients. So if we get some of these next steps right, we may be able to show in a couple of years what progress we should have done 10 years ago, or what would otherwise have taken 10 years to do. Because that's sometimes the benefit of being a laggard, is that you learn from others, you benefit from the cost reduction, you benefit from the technology improvement, and so you can do faster, cheaper, what others took a long time and a lot more money to do. So let's hope that's the benefit that we get from it. And maybe you can evaluate us in a little while and see if we've been able to deliver. But thank you very much for your time. I hope that was useful. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, sir. I now call upon Mr. T. Vasudevan, Secretary of Revenue Bar Association, to propose the vote of thanks.
Before the vote of thanks, there's a short summation of about the two speakers Honorable Minister has taken us through the phenomenal progress made by state government in data storage, public utility payments through effective e-governance in the last 2 years. It is a huge initiative by Honorable Minister to introduce technology in the governance. He has emphasized on the importance of digitization, integration, and cross-reference of data. His vision of the e-governance, as envisaged by him, should be achieved sooner than later. And our prayer is that Tamil Nadu is made a model state in e-governance very soon. Thank you. Now coming to the topic addressed by Mr. Umar Shankar, he has taken us through the about OneCloud Hub and then AI, which he says is human-like levels of intelligence. He did not equate it to humans. He said human-like. So my wish is that it does not compensate the human brain entirely. Where I'm leading to is that in the context of generative artificial intelligence, he pointed out 4 areas. That is, written content creation, question answering and discovery, summarization of large data, and classification of content. In the context of our profession, we need to be very thorough and update on these 3 areas: question answering and discovery, summarization of large data, and classification of content, because it's going to enhance our power in the profession. But insofar as written content creation is concerned, I think we need to use our own intelligence and not to rely on ChatGPT or any other, because it's going to make our thinking process dormant. Just one census, how many of you are using ChatGPT for writing petitions or anything, appeals and other things? I think very few, not even 1 or 2. That's good. Keep it up. I thank all the delegates here, especially the Honorable Minister and Mr. Umar Shankar for keeping us in rapt attention for over the last 1.5 hours. I thank all the delegates here who have come accepting our invitation, and we expect you all to join us in all the future programs. Before we conclude, we also have a photo session with the Honorable Minister, and then now we stand up for the national anthem. First nothing.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Those who want to